All right. Welcome everyone who will probably watch this in the future. We're not live streaming, unfortunately, but yeah, so we got Shawn Manaher. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. So do you want to actually, you know what, let's start with just a question for you.
Yep, you got it.
All right, so it's a deep one. It's going to set the tone for everything here. But all right, so I was looking through your website and everything, and I saw a lot of kind of self-improvement, notes to yourself maybe, but also to the public in a way. So, in my experience on this planet, which, it's quite limited at this point, but, most people who enter this space usually went through some like lots of pain in life, emotionally and physically. And then I also saw on your site that you survived a gunshot wound to the head as a teen. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, it's a little bit hyperbole, but yes.
Okay. I feel like we got to start there.
Yeah. So, to address the introspection, as much as some people say, well, I might have had some bad circumstances, had bad situations in life. I think overall my life has been very easy compared to most. The introspection for me comes out of just a desire to always want to try and improve who I am as a person. I don't know that there was one instance or situation that set me on that path that says that's just who I'm going to be. But I can remember early on in my marriage to my wife, asking her, how are things going with us? Like, is there anything that I can improve in my life? And she kind of looked at me inquisitively, because like that is not a common thing that people are like, please roast me and tell me everything that I'm doing not wrong, but just how can we make things better? And so I have been on that journey, and more recently, just a bit more, because I just have found that I'm not 100% satisfied with the outcomes that I am seeing in my life. And I know enough about philosophy or just life in general that I take 100% ownership for that.
Yep.
That is to say, I broke it. I want to fix it. And I just want to focus on like creating outcomes that are positive both for my family and those that I've had the opportunity to be responsible for or feel responsible towards. Now, in jest of, or in talking about the gunshot wound, my brother and I, my brothers and family, we lived in a rural part of upstate New York. And so we had a lot of land. And so my next oldest brother, I'm the youngest, he's 13 months older than me. And so we were 12, 13. And he says, hey, Shawn, let's play Cowboys and Indians. You're the Indian, run. And now I know that's not politically correct to probably express those things, but that's what we said. And so I ran, and I didn't think he was going to do anything, but he took out his BB gun and he shot me in the back of the head with the BB gun.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah. So it wasn't nearly as bad as that little anecdote says.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty beautiful, especially on the philosophy note.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me to the next question. So for everyone, Shawn is a successful entrepreneur, and I know many of you probably are in this digital space trying to make money online, marketing, whatever. And so I guess a good question would be, how do you manage your emotions and thinking patterns as an entrepreneur? Because from what I see, it's just a lot of getting kicked in the nuts every day, and
Yeah.
bad things happening. So
Yeah. It kind of feels like eighth grade it's Groundhog Day for eighth grade. So eighth grade for me, I was not the biggest kid. Certainly made up for it in the weight category now, but I was a very small guy.
yeah,
And I was probably picked on the most. And so I feel like I remember eighth grade being like getting bullied a bit, but at the same time fighting back. So there was a situation where a kid who was in a detention home came to school, and he targeted me to be the person that he would bully. And not being a popular kid, not being the biggest kid at all, I was probably the smallest kid in my class, and not really want to start trouble, but trouble found me. He would relentlessly come against me, just poking at me, pushing at me, until one day, I think it was eighth grade, maybe ninth grade, I lost it. We were in gym class, we were playing dodgeball. I threw the ball, I hit him out. He didn't like that. And so he threw the ball. So I didn't expect him to throw the ball back because he's out. You
right,
hit
right,
somebody, they're out. He throws the ball at me, hits me in the face. I blacked out because I didn't realize what happened after that, because I raged.
yeah,
He had to go to the hospital just for some stitches in the ear. Incidentally, we ended up having to go back to our like they drove buses, and so I was on the same bus as him on
wow,
the way, because I was going to visit a friend, and they were on the same bus route, and I had the opportunity to see how people respond when you stick up for yourself. And everybody knew I was the smallest. Everybody knew this kid bullied me, and everybody supported me in that time, because the kid tried to come up against me again on that school bus, but then all the other kids were like, leave him alone. And
wow,
so it taught me a lesson, and it feels like entrepreneurship is like eighth grade. You feel like you're not the biggest, you're not the strongest, you feel like somebody's constantly bullying you, but that constant fighting back and being willing to fight against those things that are either internal or external forces, at some point you figure it out.
yep,
As long as you push hard, you continue towards the effort and outcomes that create positive results, you have a chance. You
yep,
have a chance.
yeah, wow. I similar kind of experience, not as intense, but I definitely got picked on a little bit as a kid in the high school. But yeah, fighting back and sticking up for yourself is like,
Yeah.
it teaches you a lot. So also, on this is a side note, but I was reading Elon Musk's interview book here, or not, just I guess autobiography it would be, so written about him, not by him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He got relentlessly bullied, like
Mhm.
physically, and the Walter Isaacson, the author, is saying how he thinks that he's using the demons as fuel in a way.
Mhm. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what I learned that day that I stuck up for myself was that the respect that I got from everybody else around me, and this is small sphere. I mean, literally, my class is like 20 people in my class, really small school,
Yeah.
and really small, like overall school. And the respect that I got from everybody across the board just went super high. And I
Yeah.
realized like that even if they beat me up, and I still fight back, I'm going to win, because if they beat me up and they win, they expected it, so no loss. But if they beat me up and I win, then wow, that's game changer. And so using,
Right.
if Elon was beat up as a kid, if he was bullied, and he's using those demons as a way to fuel his focus, there's nothing wrong with using a little bit of negative energy or negative experiences to catapult you towards effort, and that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's I guess it's just like harness the emotions that you have, you know. I think that's Alex Hormozy kind of says that too. All right. So maybe on a less, sad or intense note, how do you determine where to spend your time?
So right now, how I'm spending my time relates to specific areas of education where I am learning and spending time. And I will say that I have right now I have an unfair advantage for many folks in that I have the opportunity that I can spend a fair amount of time, about 6.5 hours a day, in education, focused around skill development of areas that I don't feel that I'm quite there and need to be. So that's about 6.5 hours out of the day. Then 4 hours out of the day is a mix of client acquisition and client fulfillment. I've also had the unfair advantage of being able to build a team. So at some point I didn't have a team, but I built a team, and that allows me to be able to focus on a good amount of time in skill development, while at the same time being able to take care of client acquisition and client fulfillment where I need to be involved in that mix. And so really my day is very, very, here's learning and education. Here is clients and client acquisition, client fulfillment. And the other piece in those hours would be content development, in terms of being able to produce content on social platforms. In the near future, I'll have a YouTube channel that focuses around my process of learning something, developing that skill, sharing that skill with other people, and kind of doing a loop around helping other people in the areas that they may want to learn about, and they can follow me on that journey.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess to kind of distill that down, learning, improving every day,
Mm-hmm.
creating content,
Mm-hmm.
kind of sharing, documenting your journey, maybe. And 3, obviously, you own a few businesses, which we'll get into. So
Yeah.
obviously, that takes work too, managing clients, employees, all that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. So I had this question towards the end, but I guess it'd be a good thing to bring up now. So quick little backstory. My brother is now going to college. Okay. And I'm nowhere in the position to give him advice, but the one thing I said is you have to look at your path now through the lens of AI, right? Because if you get this wrong, you will be out of a job, unfortunately. And
Right.
lots of people find meaning through their work, and
Mm-hmm.
things of this nature. So how do you determine now what skills to learn in the age of AI, something that might be more intelligent than us? Some say that parts of it is more intelligent, but
So it kind of first we have to look at, like, what's the impact that AI is going to have in the near term, and then in the future. And I kind of look at that as the landscape and think about future
Mhm.
and what it will look like. And so I am already preparing my family, my son, for an environment that he may or may not have the job that he hopes to have, and he's only 2. And so
All right.
in 18 years plus 4 if he goes to college, so 22 years, what is the world going to look like? right now, as we can kind of go back to it, is writing, publishing, written content has been completely transformed through AI.
Yep.
Budgets are, from the standpoint of people's thought about how AI can help them, and the practical nature in which AI is helping them has completely changed the way in which publishing, writing content, the written form, typing in text. Therefore, and so this is like big jobs are gone, or so the person who adapts that technology, they're going to win, because AI can be used as a tool that they didn't have otherwise. So across the board on my team, I can now see who's using AI and who's not, simply by the level of response and thought that it seems to be coming across, like they're writing more intelligently.
Mm-hmm.
And now some people might think like that's a negative, in that they're using AI to do their job and whatnot. And here's what I think it's actually a positive, because if somebody in the past was not good at communicating, and they put a sentence into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you help me to make this more persuasive in nature? Here's what ends up happening. They have inputted what they think is persuasive.
Mm-hmm.
They then get an output from ChatGPT that says, by the way, this is what persuasion looks like. And they read it and they're like, oh, so what's happening now is AI is becoming a teacher.
Yeah.
Without somebody formally saying, help me learn XYZ about persuasion. And so that can be very helpful. The other day, I wrote a piece that I wanted to put on LinkedIn. I communicate in complex ways, and sometimes my thoughts don't always get clearly processed in how I write as well as verbally. And so I know that I come across complex. And sometimes in my job as somebody writing, and my job as presenting, is to help the other person to understand and be understood. And if that doesn't happen, then it's lost. So why do it? So I put something into ChatGPT and I said, make this sentence less complex. And when I got the output, I was like, oh, that's what less complex looks like.
Right.
So it taught me that. So kind of circling back to what we were talking about, I think AI is a great utilization tool in the short term, and its impact in writing, I think it's fine. So when we look at midterm, I think we're now within the next couple of years, we're going to see a deep impact on the visual by way of people using AI for video. And I think that's only going to improve. So GPT-5 within 3 years, I think, is very plausible, and to be a full version that is going to just revolutionize video content.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening with markets is there's that growth. There's going to be lots of AI tools that get created in the cycle of any kind of maturing market. Lots of people are going to go out there. There's billions and billions of dollars being invested into AI. So within 7 to 10 years, there will be the maturing and consolidation of markets. And that, I think, is where in that 7 to 10 year range, we start to really see the, oh crap, AI is really going to impact a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
I think that's the time frame that we're looking. And so there's a quote that I enjoy that expresses, I'm trying to remember it, my goodness, I'll have to come back to it, but basically the idea is that the opportunity of a lifetime needs to be seized during the lifetime of the opportunity. And so right now, if I'm thinking about this 7 to 10 range, I have the opportunity to really look at what am I going to be learning by way of skills, What am I going to be learning about how I can develop my team, and what should they be focusing on, so that in the future they'll be able to adapt to what's happening in the areas of AI.
Yep.
So that's my perspective. So for your brother,
Yeah.
he's not asking my advice, but if I were a betting person, dependent on his current academic bent, if he's a math type of person, I think that he should go into they would want to go into coding of some sort. I think coding is going to be disrupted, but the strategic mind of a coder is not going to be replaced by AI. You can't write an entire program of code. You still need the architect.
Right.
And so areas of coding architecture are still really going to be needed. And then the other piece that's going to inevitably happen is that, in my opinion, individuals are going to push and say, oh, we don't need writers. I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
I think we need writers more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because what will end up happening is more and more people will write to the GPT style, and that will open up a door of people being able to really see what persuasion is. And GPT, in its best efforts, it's an estimation of what it should be saying. It doesn't get persuasion down in a great way. And good copywriting skill, it's absolutely something to go to. My nephew, he's graduating this year, and so he's not a math focused individual. And so I asked him, what are you really passionate about? He said, writing. I said, fantastic.
Yeah.
You should go into get a copywriting course. He's not going to college right away. He said, in this gap year, focus on copywriting so that you can really just know how to write, because people will pay for those who really know how to write. Now, it just might have to be different, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really beautiful. And because there's so much fear now with, in our space, SEO and marketing, like, oh no, ChatGPT is going to take over everything. But
yeah,
I don't know. But I like that time horizon too, the 7 to 10. So I really want to, because I know we only have a few minutes here, but
sure.
Real quick. So obviously this thing is coming, the genie's out the bottle, right? So there's this notion of, I guess this is more of a younger generation as well. I'm being selfish here with the questions, sorry guys, but
No, go ahead.
Sacrificing your 20s to potentially live great life in your 30s, like kind of neglecting the fun stuff, I guess, in a way, in your 20s, build up skills, especially. And I feel like it's just so much important now because, if you don't do it, then you might get replaced, I guess. But what do you think about that philosophy, kind of?
I think the compounding of anything is what people should focus on, and not make it binary about what I should and shouldn't be doing in X part of my life. And here's what I'll say. From a compounding of skill, I would get very clear on the skills that are going to be most important to you and most important in the career that you're looking for. And so I've been thinking a lot about this idea of constant improvement. And basically, I think individuals going forward, if they want to really have an advantage, I think they basically need to be taking a course, like college level kind of course, all the time.
Yeah.
Like 3 credit hour type course, and make it self-study if you need to. Use ChatGPT if you don't know how to do this, but basically type into ChatGPT, I want to create a course on X. Please recommend 3 books that you would want to provide for me to read and study, and then ask it what are some questions that I should be answering as I'm going through this. So it's kind of like creating your own syllabus, and go through a course every single week, spending 10 to 12 hours a week on education. I think that compounding of education, I think, is really vital and important. And it removes the notion that I have to sacrifice something so that I get something later. I think it just compounds over time.
Yeah.
Compounding of interest on the financial side, individuals should build a life where they're saving $1,000 a month towards their future in their retirement. You will not lose if you choose to do that. I have
Right.
like in terms of net worth of where we're at now in terms of the business of probably about 3 million, doing well there. But I wish I also had, probably would have, if I followed advice when I was in my 20s, hey, save $1,000 every single month. And I'd be several millions into it at this point. I'm not, but that's okay. I went headlong on my business side, and we have about 2 or 3 million we're looking at now, and that's only going to compound and grow from there. The last thing I would say in looking at this of 20s and what you're going to benefit in the 30s is I would compound relationship. I would really not lose sight of the importance of building relationships during your 20s so that you can carry on those relationships into your 30s and 40s. Life changes perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 49, going to be 50. Perspective for those that are a little bit younger, almost like you could be my kids, right? Is that in your 30s and 40s, when you start having kids, I had a child late in life, but when you typically have kids, find that partner or somebody you want to settle down with, you're going to start to distant relationships. They're going to be less and less. So if you have not focused on solid, strong relationships in your 20s, you're just not going to have those in your 30s and 40s. And so in a society that gets disparate and spread out more and more, you just want them. So if I were to say anything to somebody who's looking at future and what you're looking at, compound your education, compound your finances, and compound your relationships.
Well said. And real quick, just to also, I know we got 2 minutes here. Is that you? Would you have like a few more minutes after that, or no?
Yeah, we're good. You're good.
Okay. Because I mean, this is a great conversation, honestly.
Yeah.
And shoot, what was I gonna say? Man, I lost track. Okay, yeah, just a quick recap for everyone. What are the companies that you own?
So
operate now?
yeah, so currently own the Content Authority, which is a writing platform that was born out of 15 years ago, where there was a need for writing at a rate that everybody could afford,
Right.
but still get quality content. So the Content Authority is that baseline business that I had started. Additionally, I own a couple companies in a publishing space related to book marketing. So book marketing tools and reading deals. Book marketing tools is the tools, education, and community of individuals wanting to learn about self-publishing. And reading deals is the promotion of those books once you start publishing those. So those are combined.
Yeah.
And the last piece is Ignite Marketing, which is a client acquisition company focused on helping high ticket service professionals who are trying to get their authority out into the marketplace so that they can build brand and expose themselves to a broader audience so that they can accelerate and grow their business.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And just we don't have to get into the nitty gritty of the finances, but revenue wise, could you maybe give us an estimate on?
Yeah, so this year we're easy on pace, about 1.5 that we should generate with 60% margins. And so margins being what's the net profit that we're going to realize as a business.
Right. They're healthy.
Yeah, they're healthy. AI has only helped in terms of being able to, our team is smarter. We're able to do a lot more, but the piece that has increased over this time as we have begun to continue to learn and use AI is the editorial process.
Yep.
And so that has been a core component of like making sure everything that goes out, that we're reviewing it, making sure it's what the brand voice needs to be. And that has been great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, I know you have your own website, ShawnManaher.com.
Yep.
And I see it's more of a finance / money.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's going to change. What we're doing, the other piece of like that I didn't mention, but we had a lot going on with it. It's like we had a lot of passive income content websites. Like, so my focus has been disparate and like hear a bunch of things and believe the notion of like having 7 income streams and all that sort of thing. I believe that 7 income streams make sense, but I really, and the reason why I really am focusing in on making sure that I'm only focused on a couple of things. And number 1 is going to be my personal brand through ShawnManaher.com. I'm the only Shawn Manaher in the world, so it's easy to find me anyways.
Right.
But with that said, I want to focus on personal brand, and I want to focus.
As a quick note, especially important in the age of AI, I think.
Yes,
you know, because
100%.
You can't replicate. Well, maybe. I mean, you can.
Hygen, you could replicate with AI using Hygen.
Right. I mean, nothing's safe, guys.
Yeah, nothing's safe. But personal brand, absolutely. And the funny thing is that I see it with our clients. Like, we focus on helping clients use their personal brand in order to grow their practice and businesses, and it works.
Right.
It works. So you don't need to like, and on that side of like the results of it, you don't need a huge amount of following in order to create an amazing result.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure that you're selling something that's worth enough in order to create that personal brand. A few years ago had a project, probably about 7 years ago, might have been longer, called sidepreneurs.com. And so it was right in between where the podcast movement had been introduced about 12, 15 years ago, and people were really getting into it. And this guy, John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire, he was all into it. He was seeing some huge success. And so it was between when he started and before all of the big name podcasters are starting to come up, and it's really exploded in the podcast realm. So we had a show that was dedicated towards entrepreneurship tools, tips, and education around helping people to become better sidepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I started that business. I was daily interviewing people that were highly successful. I did 180 interviews, and I stopped. Okay. And the reason I stopped is I didn't have a clear product on the back end that I could sell.
Okay.
And so I was like, I can't continue to do this. I know I can take these skills and now I can apply them to other things in other areas of my life and business, but I didn't have a good product on the back end or understanding on how to create a course that would be a good back end and to create income from it. And so I stopped it.
Yeah.
But I have clarity on that going forward on my own personal brand of what that could look like in terms of being able to build out a channel and platform for ShawnManaher.com. And the main focus going forward is going to be agency, in that I'm going to tie together everything that I do and any individuals or businesses that want to level up their own personal brand as well as their authority so that they can sell to products, services at a high ticket to individuals. That's what we're going to focus on the agency. And so that's going to be going forward. So everything else is going away.
Wow. Okay.
It's not going to focus on anything else but those 2 things.
Yeah.
And until we can get it to a level where it's generating a good amount of income. And if we want to start new projects, it's not me starting a new project, it's a new team member starting a new project. So yeah, that's kind of been over the last 9 months, we've been really paring back things that we're doing that just are not producing good results, good outcomes.
Yep. Yeah. All right. And also just, cut me off whenever you have to go. Because,
Yep.
I mean, I have probably enough questions for the next 2 hours here, but um, how important is money to you and just overall living a good life?
I would rather make impact than income, so I use the
Yep.
income to make impact.
Mhm.
And so I live comfortably. I don't have a concern about that. I don't now. I still do want to. Um, I still want to have the opportunity to create experiences. Like right now, we're in this age where we can't travel a lot because our son's just young, and
Yeah.
so we choose not to want to travel all over the world. But I would still love to and would enjoy doing that. And then having experiences, like as our child grows up, I want to give them the opportunity as well to have experiences and make connection. But to me, money is a tool so that I can make impact, and that's what I'd like to do.
Awesome. And so do you think people are born entrepreneurs, or did you know a time when you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, I've always had, I guess I haven't explored that idea enough to know whether or not somebody's born or not. What I can say is, in my experience, that entrepreneurial bent was clearly there. I remember when I was like 9 or 10, and um, I would sell my Easter egg candies to my brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
sister, so that I could just make some money. So I was like, oh, look, if I sell the thing that I have, I get some money. But it wasn't until about 15 years ago that it really clicked for me that I could figure out how to be entrepreneurial, which is that exchange of, I have something, here's some value. And in candy is that, value, whatever, it's a product.
Right.
But really accelerated that when I was in early 30s. Yeah.
And what were you doing before then?
Before that, I was working at an energy company as a pricing analyst and kind of a process improvement individual. Then also got into the marketing side of things.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then since, I've been quite selfish with the questions, how about we do 3 tips for people trying to grow their personal brand in the next 90 days? Maybe some actionable tips they could do to grow.
So because I've not focused on my own personal brand
Okay.
that much, I am going to defer to what I'm learning from others.
Gotcha.
Those others being Aleks Mularz. I think everybody's seen him everywhere, seeing what he's doing for his personal brand. I can say with confidence, like the work that we're doing for clients in developing their own personal brand. I had some headspace stuff that I didn't push my own personal brand, but I understood the strategy behind making it work. Right. So here's like, if I were to advise somebody or take some tips from what Aleks Mularz is talking about, and really, like, I saw a podcast recently where Aleks Mularz was talking about, when I get to be like the age of Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone, I'm just going to crush where they were at their age. And then he had this realization that kind of was humbling a bit, is that his video guy said, hey, Gary Vaynerchuk didn't have Gary Vaynerchuk.
Right.
So the fact that we stand on the shoulders of those who've gone before us is kind of the idea. Yes. And so what I would say, kind of getting to the point, is documenting what you're learning, sharing that in snippets on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever platforms that you want, becomes key. And then I would wrap that up into doing at least one video a week based on the topic that you're wanting to focus on, attached to the business that you're wanting to promote. I would take back then, like 10 years ago, or maybe it was 7, Gary Vaynerchuk had written a book jab, 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 right hook.
Yep. Yep.
It's like every 6 pieces of content that you put out there, it's just value, 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 then give a right hook. And then now it's more like every 100 pieces of content that you do is value, 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 then right hook. Because he's seen, and it seems apparent, that you just build that value. Then when you have something to share, everybody just gobbles it up and whatnot. Yep. Alex Mularz took that to the 300th level in his launch of his course, his $100 million leads course. He had something like 500,000 people sign up for a webinar, a Guinness Book of World Records kind of thing. Had 200,000 people on his live cast. 1 million people seen the video, and at the end, everybody was expecting for him to sell something, and he gave it all away. It was just absolutely like mind blowing. Like, not just like chintzy kind of here's what you should do, lead magnet style. It's this is how you do it. Quality on the course content. So 90 days, you're going to focus on what are you going to learn, sharing that on snippets. You're going to produce the content. I like a match of long form plus short form. And the piece that people are not talking about that works, and this is the most practical thing that I could give everybody, is take your content, put it on Facebook, and then run that as a paid advertisement on Facebook to the audience that you want, that retargets to the product that you're trying to sell. Right. Yeah. Okay. That piece works like magic. We have a client where they typically pay $120 for a lead, and right now they're getting $7 leads. Dang, so the exchange is like huge, and it's basically taking that thing that everybody talks about, document, share, promote it, or push it onto these social platforms. The piece that nobody's really talking about is promote it with paid ads on Facebook. You can do it on Instagram, you can do it on TikTok, you can do it on YouTube, but whatever you do, then retarget people who watch that content into something that you're trying to sell. Wow. Yeah, that's a huge tip there. And real quick on the flip side, how about tips for local business owners? Because I know that's definitely your realm of expertise there. How can they, maybe grow their business or practice? Or so this is not self-serving, because I hope every marketing agency that is listening to this listens to this, and the business owners listen to this, because I think it's valuable. 7 to 40%. That is how much a business owner should be spending in marketing. And what we have is a deficiency in businesses who are willing to spend money to generate brand awareness, to get their authority out into the marketplace in order to get enough leads and opportunities, in order to turn that engine to make enough money to keep doing it every single month. And what ends up happening is that they fail to spend anything in marketing, and they don't know why they're not growing. And what ends up happening is that many local businesses are built off of referrals, which is a fantastic thing that anybody can grow a business. But if you want to hit like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, you need to get outside of referrals. And referrals are great. There's a great book, Alan Weiss, The Consulting Bible. There's a chapter on referrals. It's taught me how to ask for referrals. You're just, hey, if you see the same value I'm giving to you, do you know anybody that'll find value in that? Who do you know that would be interested in my services? You got to ask for them, but it doesn't last. It's not predictable enough to grow it. Maybe in a consulting business, it would be totally fine to do that. And he was a consulting. So he's probably making $300 to $500 an hour. But for most businesses where you're making $25 to $75 an hour, as an average, you need more than just referrals.
Yeah.
So 7 to 40%, 40%, that 25 to 40% is more for like e-com. You're going to spend a lot in order to get the money to turn. But most businesses, 7 to 15% is pretty solid. We recommend 7 to 10% for high ticket docs that we work with starting out. But yeah.
Okay. All right, and I'll just ask one more question here to be respectful of your time here, but great insights, by the way. I mean, we're definitely gonna chop that up a little bit and send it to, but all right, so I guess where do you see the biggest opportunities for people in this digital space trying to make money, trying to grow their business? I guess for entrepreneurs in general, in the next 5-10 years, where do you see some big opportunities that people can take advantage?
So it's hard because like the opportunities that are available right now may not be the opportunities in 5 years, and I just don't know what it's going to look like.
Right.
So in 5 years, I ask myself, what if there wasn't Google in its present form?
Yeah.
Like, what if you couldn't utilize the power of Google for your business? What would you do? And so what I think is going to happen is that there'll be a transition over 10 years that Google probably won't be around in its current form.
Yeah.
But I would be asking myself, what can I be doing in the next 5 to 10 years to prepare a world for those that are in digital marketing, in the digital space? What does life look like without Google? And so a lot of it will then push towards these large social platforms.
Right.
I think Facebook will probably be still around, but there might be a couple of other different players in the mix, and so you'd want to make sure that you're current on those. But then the safety net is creating your own community and making sure that you're connecting with those individuals agnostic of platform.
Right.
So your ecosystem has to be, I'm on all of these social platforms. I'm generating lead opportunity through organic content. I'm doing paid ads to drive additional brand and targeted revenue. I'm all on all these podcasts and YouTube podcasts and shows. And what does it all funnel towards? It's the tried and true email list. It's the subscribers that you own as subscribers. And that it becomes the, what should I focus on? It's probably what I would be looking at, and what we are looking at, what we tell our clients. Because at some point, like I said, it's all going to be different. Facebook's not going to be Facebook. Google's not going to be Google. Antitrust and breaking up businesses it seems like it's the cool thing nowadays. So you have to look at that.
Definitely. Yeah. And just a quick note on that, because I know maybe some people who are in the SEO space were probably are just sweating bullets after hearing.
Yeah.
But, I will say is what kind of keeps me still optimistic on this space is searching for things. I think is it's embedded into humans, and as long as there's a search bar somewhere, there's a ranking of documents, video content in general, and there will be ways to optimize for different algorithms and whatever. But so yeah, I guess that's just my 2 cents.
Maybe. Well, yeah, from a fundamental basis.
Yeah.
Our brain wires for schema.
Right.
Searches are schema related, and so it's just asking, what's the next schema related platform that I can be on in order to make sure. So where are people searching is just the answer to that. And it doesn't matter what it is. You just have to be adaptive and willing to change as you're going along.
Yep. All right. And then I guess maybe just as a bonus for everyone, like, do you have any cool books, courses, or kind of learnings to share with anyone who, you know, is in this space?
So cool books, learnings. Let me see what I just got in my Amazon cart that
Nice.
I'm going to be looking at. Orders. So right now, my own journey is related to having a better understanding of how I can learn better. And so my areas of focus are going to be around that for the next 90 days. So like books like Made It Stick, The Art of Learning, and let me see here, How to Read a Book. Those are going to be 3 books that I'm going to be reviewing and going over in order to help me to become a better learner. And while I've been at this, kind of encapsulating the conversation, I've been at this for a while. My belief that I can get better at anything that I choose to do, so long as I put in the effort by way of educating myself through other people's experiences, I'm not going to lose. Like, and I'm on the tail, not on the tail end. I'm on the end of where most people might start to begin to think, gosh, the dude's 50 and he's in digital marketing. Like, I don't know, like he's too old. So like people who have the hang up of in the 20s, like I'm too young, guys that are my age are like, I'm too old, but that's nothing. Growth mindset says that I can if I do. And so if I do, the focus of compounding of education and compounding relationships and compounding of interest of finances, I can win. It doesn't matter. So for me, those are the 3 books that I'm going to be focused on. I haven't read them yet, but I can give you an update later and let you know how those go.
We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. Well, that's it. We won't bother Shawn too much anymore. But yeah, again, thank you so much, Shawn. I know I found this valuable. I'm sure a lot of people will find this extremely valuable. So yeah, thanks for coming on. And I'd love to maybe do a follow-up one time.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that. And because my name is unique, Shawn Manaher, you can find me if you want to hit me up or have a conversation. Always happy to have a chat.
Yep. Yeah, we'll plug all the businesses and socials in the description if you guys want to reach out. So yeah. All right. Thanks again, Shawn.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. See you.